Okay, well, we have a quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Records Management Committee meeting. It's Monday, February 23rd, 2026. And we have a rather full agenda. There's 7 schedules. The first order of business is the approval of the January 2026 meeting minutes. Is there any comments on the minutes or a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion to the motion? If not, we'll take a roll call vote. So Steve?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And I vote yes. And Tangi, you were absent last time, right?
I was.
Okay. So that motion is approved 4-1 and Tangi will abstain. Is that okay? Great, thank you. So they're approved. So the first item on the agenda is the Centrally Assessed Appeals Work Files. This is a new series and it is submitted by Alyssa Stringham on behalf of Tax Commission. So Melissa, take it away.
Hi, yeah. So really quickly, I just wanted to introduce the folks with me from the Utah State Tax Commission. We have from the Tax Commission Records Management Group, Jessica, Amy, and Arnold. And then from the Property Tax Division, which is who these record series are being proposed from, we have Josh and Lucas. And all of these record series. So first off, just a overview of all of them, so you can see where they're coming from and why we have so many all at once. The Tax Commission is going through their record series and updating and aligning their record series with their current business processes. And so in that process with the Property Tax Division, we identified a bunch of very old series that were considered historical records, but that don't quite align with their current business processes as they are now. And so these new series are to kind of update and improve those, closing those older record series and instead moving forward with these ones that better reflect what the Tax Commission Property Tax Division is doing right now. So the Centrally Assessed Appeals Work Files, the proposal for this is to retain records for 10 years or for 2 years after the case is closed, whichever is greater. And these are the work files that are supporting the next record series we'll be talking about, which is 31387, the appeals case records. I guess what more information would you like me to present before we get into questions about this?
Steve, you're muted.
Thank you. What's the current standard?
The current standard for this one, this was not scheduled to this point, the appeals work files. So they were looking at maybe adapting a general retention schedule for this, possibly the auditing work files or the other work files ones. Those are 10 years or 1 year after completion, respectively. But neither of those quite fit the need for these records, which are related to their appeals cases. And so they're looking for 10 years or 2 years after those cases are closed, whichever is greater in case those appeals cases drag on a little bit longer than anticipated.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions? Seems rather straightforward. So if there's no other questions, I'll make a motion to approve appeals work files. It's series 31388.
I'll second that.
So a motion from myself and a second from Steve. So any further discussion to the motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. So Tangi?
Aye.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So that passes unanimously. So the next one is the Centrally Assessed Appeals Case Records. It's series 31387. So this is also a new schedule.
Yes, and these ones, the proposal is 20 years and destroy. These are the case records that are related to those case work files that were just discussed. And these ones, the proposed is 20 years and then destroy.
So what is the classification on this series? Is this public information?
So the majority of these records are going to be protected under 3052A because disclosure of them can provide competitive disadvantages. But that I think is only in place for 30 years, which is longer than the intended retention of these records.
Yeah, these are the appellate records, correct? The underlying assessment will still remain with the main assessor.
Yeah. So these records go to the tax commission for appeals. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. So the underlying assessment would still be contained with the original assessment records series. Yes.
And then I'm assuming that the result of the appeal that record would be contained with the original assessment.
Not necessarily. It could be, but it right now I don't think it would be the result of the appeal. No.
Okay. Yeah, my concern there would be if a county made an assessment, the person appealed it, and the result of the appeal was different than the original assessment, then I would want to make sure that we had consistent records as far as the result or the final determination.
Correct. And so I think on this one, we feel like the 20-year period would cover that, any of those questions that came up.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And the second from Steve. Any further discussion to the motion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Angie?
Aye.
Steve?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So that series is approved unanimously. So on to the next one. This is the centrally assessed property tax returns. And this is also a new record series.
Yes, so still in the centrally assessed property tax group. These are the tax returns. The proposal for this retention is 10 years and then destroy. This is to replace some older record series that don't reflect their current business processes anymore, their occupation tax and net proceeds returns, and the natural resources annual property returns. So this series reflects better what their current use of these records are, and those older series have now been closed.
So how long is this one kept for, Alyssa?
10 years and then destroy.
Okay. Okay, any questions from the committee? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve centrally assessed property tax returns.
I'll second that.
There's a second from Tangi. Any further discussion to the motion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. So Tangi,
Aye.
Steve,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, team, we're moving through these rather quickly.
Yeah, thank you. Moving right along.
So the next one is a new one, and this one is the centrally assessed county books. And this is also a new schedule.
Yeah, so this one, similarly to the others, is reflecting current business processes. It is closing the older record series, natural resources assessment records, and public utilities assessment records, and also better capturing other records that were not in those series. And the proposed retention for this one is 10 years and then destroy.
Okay, so Alyssa, help me understand this one. So on the old one that's being closed, you said it's the natural resources and public utilities. Is this also the same, just public utilities and natural resources?
No, it's not just those,
Okay.
but it's to so it's to replace those and also incorporate, because their records are all handled the same way for these types of records. So there's no distinction between their natural resources or public utilities assessments. And so these the proposed retention schedule and the proposed record series is better describing what their current process is, and also just like closing up those so that there's no confusion between what the records are doing now and what these older historical records were.
Right, so their current practice, it's a much broader scope than
Yes,
what the old, okay. And then can you clarify again, how long are these kept for?
10 years
And then destroyed?
and then destroy.
Are they currently being held for 10 years?
Lucas, do you want to answer that?
No, we're currently holding them for longer, and that was part of the recommended update to 10 years. Again, I think reflects more of our current business process to how it used to be, where a lot of these are preliminary records that we create that ultimately will end up in a property tax statistical report, where that's kind of the more permanent record that we keep. And so that's why we've updated this recommendation for these books to be 10 years and then destroyed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tangi, thanks for that clarification, because to an archivist, the book is very permanent. So, Lucas, thank you for enlightening us there. Are there any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion from Tangi. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
And a second from Daniel. Any further discussion to the motion? Okay, hearing none, take a roll call vote. So Tangi,
Aye.
Steve,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So that passes unanimously. Okay, one more.
We have someone on the call that's phoned in, and I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to identify who it is in case it's another member of the committee.
Yeah. So on the screen, we can see someone's phone number ending in 26.
Mhm.
Would you identify yourself? Or
I mean, if they're a member of the
If
public,
you're a
we
member
have
of
to know
the-
that too.
public or a member of the committee?
Oh, they may have dropped out.
Oh, darn.
Well, we weren't saying you had to leave. Sorry.
We wanted you to feel welcome. All right, let's go to centrally assessed general records.
Okay, yeah, and this is again similar to the previous one in that it's closing older record series, but it is broader than the scope of those record series and reflects their current processes as well. And the general records are created in support of the property assessment process, and they contain information related to their inspections and other records for that process. The series that they've closed and are replacing are, again, the natural resources general records and the uranium mines property tax records. Similarly to the previous series, this is all of these records are handled in the same kind of way and are not their use is different than the previous record series reflected, and the proposed retention is 10 years and then destroy.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve centrally assessed general records.
I'll second.
There's a second from David. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. So Tangi,
Aye.
Steve,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So those all pass unanimously. Okay, one more, Alyssa. Personal property tax audit records.
Yes, okay, so we've made it out of centrally assessed records. The personally property tax audit records is a record series that was created a while ago, and we identified it through this process as not having been through the records management approval process. It's a pretty standard treatment of and retention of these tax records, just documenting personal property audits that are conducted by the tax commission, and then copies of records that are submitted to the tax commission from the counties for their oversight. And the proposed retention is retaining for 7 years and then destroy.
And then I'm just looking over Kendra's, we're looking through the proposal here. These are also primarily designated as protected records, and then they have a secondary designation of private. Is that still correct?
Nothing public.
And yeah, so there's no public part to this.
I believe that is still correct. We went through this as part of this process to review these, and that these are subject to the citations that are listed.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions for the committee or our visitors today? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve personal property tax audit records as it's been submitted to the committee.
I'll second.
And second from David. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Steve,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Tangi,
Aye.
and I vote yes. So all of those tax commission ones passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, the last schedule on the agenda is managed care entity agreements. This is an update to an existing schedule, and it's submitted by Renee Wilson on behalf of DHHS. And Renee, do you want to introduce any guests that you have here today?
Yes, I do.
And
Thank
you also get to tell us what the acronym DIH and OMC stands for.
Yes, I will definitely do that. So this is the Division of Integrated Healthcare, the Office of Managed Care. We have Sharon Steigerwalt with us. She's the records officer, and Jorge Fuentes. Jorge, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. My name is Jorge Fuentes, and I'm a program manager with the Office of Managed Healthcare.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
So I thought just to introduce the Office of Managed Care, you can see this is their website. So managed care plans provide medical, dental, and behavioral health services to eligible Medicaid and CHIP members. So that is a little blurb about the office. Let me switch over. Here we go. So the record series we are looking at today is managed care entity agreements. So these are all their agreements with the managed care entities, the contracts with them is what these are. Let me pull up my notes here. The original retention for these, which was approved in 1986, which was 40 years ago, was 6 years after expiration of contract. And now they have additional need. They would like to retain these for 10 years after contract termination, or 10 years after all the audits are completed, whichever one is greater. A note down here. We'll be adjusting this appraisal statement to just this last sentence, since this is the important part. State and federal law allow audits and lawsuits for fraud related to medical benefits up to 10 years after services are provided, which is why they are requesting a change to the retention.
And what is it now?
It's 6 years after expiration of contract.
And then what's the classification? Renee?
It's public.
Public. Okay. Dave, did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I'm under the weather today, so I really appreciate everybody else's questions, but I just lost the question because you interrupted me, Ken.
Sorry. Sure.
Well,
No, let's see. Oh, so the reason we're asking for the longer retention period is because of the possibility of audits up to 10 years after from these various entities, right? And so I guess my question was, I think you said this in the introduction, Renee, but the trigger date is not just end of contract, but end of, closure of any outstanding audits related to the file. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
and my only concern of that is that if our retention schedule and the litigation period being the same, that they could file the lawsuit on the last day of the 10 years. And if we're really prudent on disposing these records, I could see these ships passing in the night. So that would be my only concern. Murphy's Law often follows these things. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that concern.
Are we ever that fast?
And I didn't understand this to be related to litigation, but to audit.
Yeah,
So-
it looked to me like in that last sentence it talked about the lawsuits for fraud. The statute of limitations was at 10 years. So,
Okay, thank you, Steve.
uh-huh.
Yeah, so there sometimes can be a concern because they don't know about the litigation until they've already destroyed the records, possibly, if it happened the last day of that tenure.
Yeah, because you can file the lawsuit. You don't have to serve anybody for 120 days.
Right.
Stinks to be you.
Yeah, we've often left like a 6-month or a year buffer for that reason, actually. And a lot of these that are up against a statute of limitations.
So I would recommend either we follow that and either go 10 years and 6 months or go to the 11 years. So whatever, I don't know, Mr. Tonks, if you have a recommendation on that.
Oh, 10 years plus 6 months is probably enough. 11's a nice round number.
I would say
Either one of those.
something.
It's not going to kill us to go one more year, honestly.
Does the agency have a comment on that?
Hi, this is Sharon Steigerwalt, Records Officer for the Division of Integrated Healthcare. And yeah, we don't, if that's the recommendation to do 10 years and 6 months or 11 years, we can definitely do that. So I can see your guys' point on that. So we can definitely change that.
Great, thank you. Good point, Steve. Is that a motion or any further questions or discussion from the committee?
Yes, that would be a motion, and I have no preference on the 10 and 6 or 11. So whichever someone thinks is easier to administer, we can go that way.
Just in terms of entering that data into our system, 11 years is a lot easier.
That's what I
That's the motion.
Wonderful, Steve. Great motion. I'll second that motion.
Thanks, Renee.
Any further discussion or comments from the committee? Okay, hearing none. We will make that change to 11 months,
11 years.
11 years, sorry. Hey, I tried to pull a fast one there, guys. We're on the record. Okay, if there's no further comments or suggestions, we'll take a roll call vote. So Tanji,
Aye.
Steve,
Yes.
David,
And just to clarify, the motion is to approve this with a change from 10 to 11 years, correct?
yes,
I approve. I mean, I vote yes.
great. And I vote yes. Did I get everybody?
And,
And
Dan,
Daniel, what do
yes,
you vote?
Yes.
Okay, it carries unanimously, so that one's approved. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the last item on the agenda is our next meeting is scheduled for March 23rd, 2026. And we just need to know if the committee there will be enough of us in attendance to have a quorum. So I can be there.
I'll be
Daniel,
here.
Daniel, Steve,
Yes.
Yes.
and who did I miss? Tanji?
Yes, I'll be there.
Is Veronica Ruth or not on the line? Okay, so we will have a quorum. So the next meeting is March 23rd at 1 o'clock. And now we're looking for a final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
And that is not debatable. Thanks, Dave. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, everyone.
Feel better, Dave.
Thank you.